Hi everyone, welcome back to another book review. This month I read a very popular series, the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. I had bought the first 3 books back in January and they had just been sitting in my TBR until last month in April. I finally bought the 3rd book, the last book, and so at the end of April I decided that for the month of May I would read the Powerless series. So with that said, let's get into the reviews. Okay, first and foremost, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. In this book, we follow Peyton, who is an ordinary living in the streets of Ilia, a kingdom that has doomed ordinaries undeserving of living there. And she has to pose as a psychic in order to stay living there. And Kai, who is not only the son of the king, but also the enforcer, responsible for killing any ordinaries still living in Ilia. I thought this was a great first book to open the series. I loved the personality of both main characters and how they come from entirely different worlds. I really enjoyed the banter between them and that Kai is never really subtle about being interested in Peyton. He's always being flirty and teasing her while Peyton is mostly mocking him. And I get it. She's an ordinary, and if he were ever to find that out, he would have to destroy her. So she keeps her cards close to her chest, and I get it. And Peyton is thrown into the purging trials, and she has to go up against other elites. But deep down, you always know that she's gonna make it, and she'll be just fine. Now, I thought that the resistance and her joining it was a great plot point, except that I wasn't able to see the success in their plan. I didn't think it was realistic for them to just show up to the trials and try to convince people that they deserve to live there when ordinaries have been banned from the kingdom for many years. And the ending was brutal, but I think we see it coming towards the end of the book. And also, Lauren is seriously a genius for giving us all that back and forth, flirting, tension between Kai and Peyton, and then making the end what it was. Wow, really, this was an amazing book. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. Okay, now moving on. Powerful. This is not book 2, it's book 1.5 because it happens at the same time as Powerless. This is a story of Adina, who is basically like Peyton's sister. They're best friends and they live together in the streets of Ilia in Loot Alley. And this story follows Adina during the same time that Peyton is in the castle for the trials. And then Adina meets Mac and they start working together and they form a plan. And it was just really endearing reading how Adina and Mac are total opposites, and that's exactly what draws them together. And honestly, I was expecting for Adina to have done something that prompted her punishment in that last trial, but alas, it was just the king's cruelty and him wanting to hurt Peyton, which I should have seen coming. And I think that's what made it even worse, knowing how pure and kind Adina was, yet what a horrible fate she met. It was shattering, to be honest. And I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. All right, now book number 2, Reckless. Okay, this book was not what I expected it to be, but then I thought that it was exactly what the story needed. In this book, we follow Peyton again, but now she's fleeing Ilia, running off to the kingdom of Dor because she has just killed the king. What I was expecting to read was the punishment that Kit had for her, but then as I read on, I realized that that was going to be for the 3rd book or for just like the very ending of this book. And Kai, as the enforcer, has been tasked to follow her and bring her back to Ilia to Kit, the new king. It was honestly kind of excruciating reading how Kai and Peyton have become like total strangers due to what happened, but deep down they still feel something for each other, they just can't admit it. It was definitely a slow burn, them having to smother their true feelings for each other due to the circumstances, but it was definitely rewarding to read it. And the ending, I think you see it coming after the first half of the book, but it was still very shocking to read it when it did happen. I really like this book. This is 4 out of 5 stars for me. Okay, last but not least, Fearless, which by the way, I have a copy signed up, which is pretty nice. Okay, Lauren Roberts is a genius because she knows what the reader wants, but she's not quick to give it. She makes us work for it, which I applaud. In this book, we're now back in Ilia, but this time Peyton is now betrothed to Kit, the new king, and Kai's brother. Diabolical, right? All throughout this book, I was heartbroken. Peyton having to marry Kit, not being able to be with Kai, who she truly loves, and Kai having to watch them get married. And I was just thinking, there's no way out. Or is there? I don't know, you'll have to read to find out. But truly, every new detail that came out and discovery and it all being tied up together since the beginning, it was seriously amazing to read. I was taken aback multiple times throughout reading this book, and it was all worth it in the end, seriously. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Alright, well, that was it for this month's reading. I'm so happy that I finally got to read this series. I loved every second of it. As always, if you read these books before, please let me know what you thought and what other books you think I should read. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. My name is Paloma, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.